Hey everybody, welcome back to the Capes Cast podcast. I'm Jeremy,
And I'm Ryan.
and we're just gonna kick it off with some kind of explosive news from this morning.
Yeah.
Several creators. The first one that I saw was Dustin Nguyen
Right.
basically say like, okay, so how how long into the video once it's on YouTube before I can say
Oh,
something? We're not monetizing this anyway, so it's fine.
no, we're not. But
So,
it's like 5 minutes or so, or something like that. It's supposed to be.
okay, well, since we're not monetizing it, I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyway.
Yeah.
Um, because he was not shy about saying it. Him, Zoe or Zoe Thorogood, Sean Murphy, and a couple others, it seems. Yannick Paquette, Jason Sean Alexander kind of all go off and say, fuck Marvel. The short of it. They're just frustrated and upset that they're getting like low pay. Dustin Nguyen even said Nguyen, however you say his last name.
Yeah. You're
Um,
saying it right in the win.
yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
And he basically said that like he had been championing artists getting a page raise
Right.
like for years, and they would just kept it. They just like basically saying like no, and it's like crazy. And then like they don't get royalties basically on top of it.
So
So
is
it's
it like for variant covers? Is it for
I
out?
would assume it include if it's page if it's like a per page, then it's probably
Yeah.
interior stuff because they've
I'm trying
he's
to think of the last time I saw Sean Murphy do anything for Marvel. That's the thing.
he may have just done covers, but
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
there's also a possibility he had like a mini series or something.
Right.
Same with, Dustin.
Because it seems like, those guys I see them do a lot of DC work, but I
Yeah.
don't really see them
Well,
do
I mean,
Marvel work.
and that's basically what he said. Like, he's like, DC's the better of the two because at least they'll like pay us. Like,
Right.
like he has like some pretty,
Damn. Looks like Disney's shorting them, huh?
yeah, man. Because I mean, the only thing I've really been seeing from Dustin Nguyen at least is covers, just at Marvel. He hasn't
Right.
been doing interior stuff. I mean, he's got the second volume Robin and Batman
Right.
coming later this year with Lemire, but other than that, it's just kind of like that's he mainly just does cover stuff and then indie work.
Right. Well,
So
that's a bummer, man. I'm sad to hear. I'm sure that they're the only ones that spoke out, but I'm sure there's a lot of people feeling the same way they are, and they're just not saying anything. Hopefully, they don't want to, they probably don't want to burn bridges or whatever. But I think they're at the
yeah,
point where they're like, nah, we're
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like I feel like it's kind of become like a growing frustration, like amongst creators is like especially with like the MCU taking off and a lot of these people getting mentioned or getting like some like start like even if it's not a lot, like some of them gotten royalties for that. And
right.
that's kind of what he's saying like
It should be all of them getting royalties for it.
yeah, exactly. Like that's pretty much his like what he's advocating for is like basically pay us all fairly and for like the work that we've put in.
Yeah.
So, and
Right.
if he's been with the company or if he's been like doing work with the company for quite some time, he does great work, I
Yeah.
think. Like there's
Yeah.
no reason why he shouldn't be able to like request a
Yeah, he's a vet in the game too, man. He's been around for at least 15
20
years.
years, 20,
Yeah, like
15, 20 years, right?
exactly. So he knows what's up, and I do feel like he's probably thinking like, man, I've been around the block already. I'm not just some startup guy, and you guys are giving me
Yeah,
chump change, screw it.
exactly, right, exactly. Like that's really it, man. It's like,
And good for them, man. Good for them for standing up for themselves, and hopefully this changes things because I'm sure this is like sounding the alarms a little bit at a
yeah.
more creative for your comics. So who knows?
Um,
Hopefully.
I think the other news thing was, I mean, we kind of already knew this was coming. We just didn't really, now they've like confirmed it. They're like planning a DC Absolute event.
Okay, cool.
I think it's set to release by the end of the year,
Okay.
or like start by the end of the year at least. Which
Yeah.
I think it gives um the three new books starting this month some time to kind of like get at least a whole arc under their belt.
Right.
But also like it also gives the other books, the three main books, which I'm sure they'll probably be the focal points of that event. And it'll explain, at least how I understand it, is it will explain kind of like what Darkseid's influence really is, how deep it goes, where it's really
Yeah.
like strongest at.
Well, what's weird is it seems like there's like four books doing that already.
Yeah.
Like New Gods and
You'll finally see
Aquaman.
this from the absolute side of things and not
That
just
would
the
be cool. That would be
main
cool.
universe. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how they plot out this event. I'm hoping it's not structured like a main. My wish would be that it's like more like classic style um crossovers.
Right.
Like 80s, 90s crossovers, like where you had like one issue of Batman is chapter one. Like I mean they still do that, but like that's kind
Right.
of what my hope would be.
Yeah.
It's just that rather because if you're reading all the books, then it kind of pays off.
Right. And I'm going to be reading all of them anyway. So,
Right. And then if you want to have like your one shot or whatever.
yeah. That's cool.
Um, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited for
Uh,
that. I mean, Ultimate Universe and Absolute Universe both are popping off, so it's going to be great. I'm glad that they're like competing. It seems like
yes.
when one announces something, like the other one's like, "Nah, we're doing that too." And
Yeah.
it's
Oh, and then the last bit of that was he basically said the focus of it was them losing,
mm,
which I think is kind of it kind of drives home the point that this universe and it's like naturally stacked against them.
right, right. Because you
So
know
I like
that
that.
they're going to get knocked down, but they're eventually going to come back five times
Yep.
harder. So,
Yep, exactly. Let's what do you want to talk about first for books?
well, I'll go ahead and before we just knock it out of the way, Batman Full Moon. This was a fun series. I think it suffers from the should have been five issues instead of four thing.
Okay, listen, I'm pretty sure it was originally solicited for five.
Really.
I'm pretty sure.
Because this just kind of ended. It just
Thank
like
you. Because
yeah,
I kept when number four came out, I was like, okay, like all right, we got two more. It's been pretty good.
yeah.
But then it's just like, bing bang boom, it's done.
Yeah. It was
Like the
like the
last
big
hint page is
werewolf fight
like
and then
yeah, and there wasn't even a lot of dialogue. It was just like, here, do this thing,
yeah, it
Satana.
just seems
Oh,
like
here,
DC told him like, hey, wrap this up right now. Like we're
yeah. And it's like, hey, John, do this. Hey, Satana, do this. Hey,
right,
Bruce, just do nothing.
right.
I mean, I liked it. I think up until this issue.
Same. I liked it a
Which
lot.
is disappointing. I really enjoyed it, and I don't even like a lot of werewolf stuff. Like they're kind of in the same boat as like vampires for me. I just don't
Yeah.
really care. But like, it's kind of a bummer to like kind of be invested in a werewolf story and then be like, bam, it's kind of like,
Well,
well,
it's
okay.
just so cool how they went about it. They were, getting,
Yeah,
Man Bat basically involved, and they were. It's so,
yeah.
like that was such a cool way to bring
He
this.
jobbed hella hard in the beginning of that dude. He just
Yeah,
got his ass beat.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, dude.
yeah. But he
I
was
don't
like
know.
basically he was basically like the doctor that knew everything that was
Yeah,
going
and
on.
here's the thing. I feel like the only reason this book exists is so you have Subic draw that werewolf Batman at the end of issue. Was it one or two?
Yeah.
Or yeah, werewolf Batman. Like when he's like got the mask on and he's like kind of like he's like stretched, he ripped the suit. You know what I mean?
hmm
Let me see if I can find it.
For people who want to get caught up, this is basically a Batman werewolf story where Batman gets basically scratched or bitten by a werewolf that's new in Gotham, and more or less. Um, Kirk Langstrom knows all about it. And he's basically helping Batman out with the werewolf problem. But of course, we got to get the werewolf fights between Batman and the werewolf. And apparently, everybody in this universe knows that it was Batman because he had a bat on his chest in fur, I guess, because they
Well,
bring
yeah,
that up a few
because like
times.
I'm trying to find the page right now.
But I thought that was a little silly. It's like, why would that be?
Like I really only think that this book exists just so you get this, just so you get this page right here. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like just so you get the page of him tearing like through the Batmobile as a werewolf. That's really the only reason.
Right.
It's
And
it's cool. I like it until
it's
the last issue.
It was fun. I really think it would have really benefited from another issue. I really do like. I don't want this to be a thing, but I do like that in this universe, Bruce and Zatanna stay together. I thought it was like,
Yeah, I
okay,
mean,
that's
Zatanna was the best part of the book for me.
yeah, dude.
It was cool.
Zatanna was great. I mean, and then you had Constantine the whole time just being his perverted, silly self, like kind
Yeah.
of trying to get back with Zatanna the whole time, but still being a good guy, even though he's talking a little bit of shit. It,
Yeah.
it's fun. It was very. I feel like all the characters were right. It's just basically like at the end of it, it just kind of like this was just basically like I feel like he had one more thing to say, like maybe like one more scene or something like that, and
Right.
then basically was like, all right, I gotta just put this all together now. And
Yeah.
this is a bummer. This is a
Yeah.
bummer. I think this would have really benefited as 5 issues.
Have you picked any solicitations for anything
No, well,
yet?
I mean I for what DC?
Just in general. Like I was looking through stuff the other day, or I guess the last couple days, because they were announcing stuff like One World of Doom tie-ins.
Hmm.
Like they were announcing some more like what was it? God. Oh, this the Mr. Terrific.
Oh yeah, he's getting like it's a mini, right?
He's getting
Uh,
his own miniseries. Um, there was another book that I just remembered about, and I cannot
'Cause
find it now.
I'll read that. I'll read the Terrifics, like or that's Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
Hmm.
I thought there was a new Batman book or something.
I
Yeah,
think that there is.
I
Trying
don't
to,
know who it was. Just because I was talking about Full Moon reminded me of it, and now I can't remember.
yeah, because I'm thinking that they're like trying to do like a lot more like Black Label stuff, like for Batman.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know if I remember it or if I see it. Um, I'll let you know.
but I'm probably gonna get it regardless. It's Batman,
Yeah.
so I'm probably gonna.
On like a Batman adjacent, real quick. Have you been reading Two-Face?
I haven't. I heard that it's really good. Actually, I saw
It's
like a bunch of like comic reviewers saying that it's really good.
it's pretty good. I like it. I've been reading it.
It's just usually like for some reason like the villain solo books usually don't go well. You know.
Yeah, I don't know. It was Christian Ward writing, and I was like, I
Yeah.
like his art, and he did good on City of Madness, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
Hmm.
Actually, pretty good. I
Yeah.
like it. It's not too bad.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, like it makes sense because Two Face is like half face is like CJ Ward's like color. Like that's his
Yeah,
wolf color.
he really plays up the like the duality, like them kind of being two separate characters that he played with in City of Madness. Well, it's like the
Right.
three of them, but this time
Yeah.
it's the two of them.
It's just hard because I feel like, I'm sure Christian Ward is killing it, don't get me wrong. But it's
Yeah, yeah.
think about like a Two Face story, it's hard for me to think like what haven't they done that they can do with this character?
Yeah. Because like
I feel like there's only so much you can do.
the gist of this story is he's like the lawyer for the white church. Do you know what that is?
No.
So it's like a church, no white church. The white court. I'm stupid.
Okay.
So basically it's like court but for villains and like criminals in Gotham.
Got you.
And Harvey's like the lawyer, and you've got like other people acting as like you've got somebody that's a judge. It's like a whole like legit court, and they deal out punishment as they see fit, how like however severe, like if they've like crossed gang bound like mafia boundaries or mob bounties, like whatever.
Right.
Um, so it's cool like that dynamic and him like interacting with like some of the other rogues and just kind of being like, gotta pay the price, man. But then it's also like the other part of it is the good Harvey, bad Harvey thing,
Right.
where it's like they're fighting for like control over the body. And it really goes into that and like how he created like the bad Harvey and like his when he was a child and all this stuff. And I don't know, it's cool. I like it. I mean, it's weird because normally I'd be like, well, why are we trying to humanize like another rogue? But I guess with Harvey, it's kind of like before he got burned, he was relatively normal,
Right.
like
Hmm.
so for him to have like some kind of tragic backstory and it kind of bleed into what happened to him and like this. these two identities, I guess, is
Right.
interesting because
Yeah.
it kind of gives that like Immortal Hulk kind of feel to it with like the dual identities and like these other and like the things at play. It's interesting. I think it's pretty good.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I didn't really know anything about it, but that sounds pretty cool.
I
If
think
anything,
it's just
I'll read
six
it on.
issues, so it's got four out as of right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
pretty
sure
good.
his art is great. He's never
He's
done.
not doing the art actually.
Oh, what?
Can't think of who's doing the art. Let me
Well, he's
see.
got to be doing variants, right? I imagine he's doing some
Yeah,
variants.
I think he's doing covers also.
Mm, gotcha. That's probably what I
Mhm.
thought.
Fabio Veras is doing. Oh, sorry, he's not doing covers. He is doing variants. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
That's what I figured. Because I was like, dude, that color is just that's his color. Like, the color
yeah,
that that like purplish reddish thing he likes to
yeah,
do, pink.
yeah, definitely.
Hmm.
Um, what next?
We could talk about some Thor, man. Just because there was a lot of talking in here that I didn't really
All right,
understand.
let's
You
get
know,
into it.
yeah, there was a lot of talking in here I didn't quite understand. Like,
Yeah, here's the thing, man. There are a lot of good books last week.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
Um,
only had six, and all of them were pretty fucking great. You know.
yeah. Good stuff, dude. So it opens. Okay, so when was the last time we've been talking about it so every issue, right?
I
Yeah,
believe so.
we talked about Tornos dying last issue.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
having to kill him. So the way that the issue ended last time was, he Tornos was delivered to Asgard and basically told him, "It's your fault they did this to me, but I have to give you this message. The gate is opened again, and you have to go into Utgard and like take the Black Bridge." So Thor does that, and at the end of the last issue, he's at the Utgard gate, and standing at the gate is Scourge with a new axe that Uller created for him, but it's like got some effects.
Right.
The
With
magic
Thanos behind
is
the gate.
Okay, so yeah, the thing with Thanos is like also like Thanos, yes, Thanos is standing behind the gate, and we don't really know why. I mean, when you read the issue, you know why.
Yeah.
But up
Right.
until that point, like it's like, okay, why is Thanos and Scourge working together?
Right.
Um, so with Scourge, do you have any questions before I like just dive right into it?
No, not really. It's mainly like a lot of times just kind of like the way the whimsical talk kind of loses me a little bit.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
mean
Like,
that's yeah, it's kind trust me, dude, like 600 issues of it.
yeah, I
God.
can imagine because it's like, I'm reading it and I'm like, what? Okay, I see what they're saying,
Sometimes
but
I'm just
what are they
waiting for
saying?
myself to start talking like that, and I'm like, God.
Yeah, it's like, dude,
Uh,
okay,
so the issue just opens up with another like passage, like every other one does, right?
right, right.
But then the first actual page is it's like a flashback to when Scourge had his last stand at Galabru, which is like the bridge that leads into hell.
Hmm.
And Thor and this takes place back in Simonson's run. So at the end of the Ragnarok saga, a lot of people like people on Earth died because like Surtur and the fire demons had come to Earth, and it was like Earth's forces and Asgardian forces worked together, and they stopped the invasion.
Right,
Um, so at the end of that, Hela claimed a lot of souls. Just she like scooped them up right after the war finished because they were just ripe, for the picking. They hadn't like human souls, Asgardian souls hadn't gone to their respective afterlives yet, so she just scooped them up and stole them. So then Thor basically tasked himself with going back to like going into hell and basically beating Hela and taking the souls back by force
right,
if he had to. So he does that, but not before he gets scarred by Hela on the face. And then it's kind of like a final stand between the Asgardian forces and Hell's forces, and Scourge makes a sacrifice of like you guys go, this is like my purpose because up until this point in Simonson's run, the entire time Scourge is kind of treated like the butt of the joke. He's like disrespected, like he's kind of like chasing after Amora, the whole time, and he's still like pining after her in this in some ways, and she's very manipulative with him. So it really it started there, really, and he sees like she kind of flirts with Heimdall, and it kind of like puts him over the edge. And he's like, you know what? She doesn't really give a like shit about me at the
Right.
end of the day. So I really need to just like I need to move on. And my like right now, the thing for me to do is like make this like ultimate sacrifice, and then I'll finally be recognized, kind of thing.
Right.
So, and this is kind of where the beginning of him saying I like he took Thor's death. You know what I mean? Like because Thor was ready to sacrifice his own life, but he said no, like I'll do it.
Right.
But then like there was a time where he had to come back, and then he had to come back again. He's had to like basically like come back and help Asgard on multiple occasions after his death. And it's gotten to the point where he's just kind of like over it. And he finally gets his final, what he thinks is his final death. And then he
Right.
has dreams of Thor dying, and he's like haunted by it because he really has like that's like the one thing that defines him is Thor is the death that he claimed back in Simonson's run for
Right.
Thor. So to see that Thor can still die,
And that's
and
pretty much what like Odin's talking about, right?
yes, and so
Yeah.
like that's where Odin comes into play. Like back in Avengers Inc. issue 3, I think like that's when originally Scourge leaves, and you learn that there's Odin like has like a backdoor out of Valhalla, but he tells him that there's a cost for this. Like if you do this, your next death will be your final death. Like there's nothing after that. This like there's no like Valhalla. There's nothing for you after this.
Right.
You're basically ceasing to exist.
So it's basically like Brock from God of War, where it's like you ain't going to no afterlife.
Yeah, and like exactly. So like, and the thing for Scourge is like that's almost like that is like that's Valhalla. You know what I mean? Like for him to finally be able to say like I can stay dead and not have to come back. Like let me have it. So he's so desperate to keep Thor's death away from him.
Hmm.
It's an interesting dynamic because he's so like tormented by being alive,
Right.
which is kind of like sad because he was so disrespected like the whole time he was living. And the one thing he was able to like stake claim to is now being taken from him, and it
Right.
was death. And he's never been able to like fully rest. So to finally be able, like to him to finally be able to have the option, like, wow, like I can actually finally have peace.
Hmm.
It it's like a tragic, but you're also like maybe let him have it, you know?
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I feel bad for Scourge, but I like
Yeah.
Scourge as a character. Like all in all, he just gets shit on a lot.
Well, he was just being used by like what's his name? Agger, right? Agger was just using him.
Yep, Agger, yeah, I know Amor, him and Amora were being used. It kind of worked both ways. Amora kind of it was they both had their own agendas,
Right.
and it worked for them. But now, since Amora backstabbed him and he's back, Iger is just ready to throw hands with any Asgardian,
Right.
and
Right.
they're all like basically like screwed as far as being on Earth goes. Um, but yeah, from this point on, it's just basically the fight between the two of them, and he's shocked to see Thanos for one.
Right. But Scourge can't see him.
Right. And so like this tells me that it's Utgard Loki, and he's
Right.
just
That's what I was just about to say. It's Utgard Loki and
it's
it's
just an illusion, and he's kind of just because it's been alluded like not really alluded to, but it's been Case's run has been directly referenced as far as like the last thing like as Thor knows as his death was the vision that Thanos with the gauntlet and the stones and
right.
Loki zombified.
So that's just referencing that. Like that was
Yeah, so basically it's like he just keeps thinking, yeah, so like as at this point when he sees death or like whatever he imagines his death to be, it's Thanos because that's the last vision that he was given, and so it hangs over him
right.
still.
Right.
He doesn't realize what his actual death is going to be.
Right.
Like he doesn't really understand yet.
That makes sense. That
So
makes
as of right now, it's just the only thing that he can imagine his death being is Thanos.
right. That makes sense.
Um, and yeah, and then there's a lot of dialogue between them basically saying like, um, you know, it's like what Scourge has just been saying this whole run essentially is like, like let me have this death. It's mine. Don't you can't take it from me. Like I've earned it. I sacrificed myself. This is all I want. But then you have Thor who's on the other side of things, who's like, since the first issue has been saying, I don't want anybody to die for me. Like I know I've seen this, I know about this vision. People have been telling me, but I don't want people to die for me. And as the All Father, I've already let enough people die since I've taken the throne that I haven't taken responsibility for. So now I need to take responsibility for this and not let somebody take it.
Right. That makes
He's
sense.
so, now he's finally taking this seriously. But the thing is he's faced with this like moral dilemma of like, does he fight somebody that he like actually sees as worthy, you know, of honor in Asgard? But it wasn't until he died that it was like he saw that.
Right. Yeah.
So again, it just circles back around to like Scourge's like tragic tale.
Right. That's cool.
But the thing with Scourge's axe is once it like sheds blood, is it gets more powerful,
Right.
you know? And the more blood that it takes, the stronger it gets, but it's also tied to his life. So if he dies, you know, it will, or if he loses in battle, it will take his life. So then Thor again is kind of like stuck with, well, I can't kill him, but I
Right.
also can't let him die for me.
Right.
So that's in this like the kind of this battle till a stalemate. But then he begins to just basically ignore Scourge at some point in the fight and just focus on Thanos.
Right.
And Scourge's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, who are you talking to? And he keeps like he's trying to explain to him like you don't see him like he's like and then he just completely focuses on Thanos and dispels the illusion and he offers the hammer to Scourge.
Right. That's where I was confused. I was like, wait, okay.
So if you remember in the um in the first arc, Thor can basically deem
Any
anybody he wants worthy.
right.
And that's like part of his power as the Allfather is the and was when the hammer was created and Odin created it, he was the one that deemed the worthiness.
Hmm.
Essentially, like he put that enchantment on there, so it's his enchantment to control. And the way that Thor sees it is like, you know, if I deem them worthy, they can wield the hammer because the hammer is meant for my power anyway.
Right.
Um, so Scourge kind of thinks it's a trick, but then he offers him the option like, come with me or kill me with my own hammer. And so he, like, they're both so stubborn and they're not willing to budge. But then Scourge finally realizes like, like he feels ashamed by everything at this point, and then that's when he's willing to concede and like basically follow, Thor to his doom.
Right.
Um, but it's cool to see them kind of reconcile there in their own way.
Yeah. Because
Because
that's what it seems like Thor's basically doing. He's like what I'm loving about this series is like Al Ewing's focusing on like Thor doesn't need to like brute force his way into everything. He doesn't need to. Like he's actually like not just a stupid meathead.
yes,
He can actually like he's an all father now, so he's got to learn to like basically like he's learning how to manipulate like Odin to like most or more or less, you know
yeah,
what I mean? Like manipulate situations to win now. Like and I like that. I like that he's not just this like the Donny Cates route where it's just like "Rrr," you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like more like, okay, I'm all
Well,
father
like
now.
the
I
one
got to
thing I
think
think
differently.
exactly, like the one thing I think is really interesting is like the whole like from even from the annual story that kicked off Immortal and Thor in general. You have this whole like the death of the immortal Thor like hanging over you the whole
Yeah.
time you read this book. But on the other side of that, it's almost like at every opportunity Thor's been trying to make amends with the people that he feel like he's wrong or he hasn't been there for, and he's trying to like fix that. But also like, do the best that he can to make sure nobody gets hurt any further.
Right.
But also now having to deal with these ancient forces beyond his control and his mother basically saying like if Earth can't get its act together, I'm gonna wipe them out. I'm gonna wipe humanity out.
Right.
So he's faced with all these like insurmountable challenges. And it's nice to see him kind of like basically prepare for his death in a way and kind of fix these things like with Beta Ray Bill. Now
Right.
with Scourge, with Amora kind of, even though she manipulated him.
With
Yeah.
Magni.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like he's getting a chance to like finally be a father in some way. He's kind of back on the ups with Sif, because they've been distant for a while. Who else? He reconnected with his mom recently. I mean, so it's like a lot of like sentimental stuff,
Right.
which is kind of goes in hand with him getting ready to die,
Right.
I think.
It's like he's basically trying to like
Say
not
his goodbyes.
atone, but not atone, but basically he just wants to set everything right with everybody before.
Right, and then say his goodbyes, before he finally says like peace out. But we know this is not going to be the end because he
Of
will come
course.
back.
Yeah.
But the
If Odin
last
has a backdoor in Valhalla, Thor will too.
Yeah, well, here's the thing is like we've already set the precedent with Thor coming back. He's been the All-Father before, and they've referenced some Rune King stuff in giant size. They've referenced, the cycle of rebirth and all the threads of fate and all, the world tree stuff, the well of Mimir. So it's all like a lot of symbology
Right.
there with the resurrection of the immortal Thor and they've been playing it up the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's cool because when they step through the gate, um, they begin to like walk through this fog. I think this is really clever because the fog gets denser, and
Yeah.
as it gets denser,
And the comic
the
panel,
fog gets bigger or smaller.
yeah, the comic panel keeps getting smaller and smaller. It goes from like a rectangle to a square.
And then that final page is Utgard Loki holding the
The comic,
square.
yeah, the comic panel basically is holding the
It's
square.
just really cool.
Yeah, it is. It is. And he's basically Thor already knows like we're here. We're already
Yeah,
here. Like
yeah.
we're with Utgard Loki, and then not even that. Like what it says, like this is the next one. It says the story of Immortal Thor and the unforgiving city.
Yes. So with this in number 19, they referenced well it was so Hermod got touched by Tyr's Oblivion arm back in I think issue 11
Mhm.
and like erased him from existence. But in truth, it sent him to the Unforgiving City, which is like the home of Nargle,
Right.
one of the gods of like evil or like death or whatever. He was referenced back in 6 or 7, I think, when there was like the huge name drops for like Nargle,
Yeah, they name
um,
dropped everybody in that issue.
yeah, Medjed, and then the other one, I can't remember his name. But so I mean, this seems to be like this Utgard pantheon. Um, and Also, we see in 19 that Heimdall is in the Unforgiving City, which is interesting because Jane, like personally delivered him. So in like the first 3 issues, maybe 4 issues of Jane Foster Valkyrie, um, Heimdall is like basically like he's dead. He dies at the end of War of the Realms. And Sif takes over. This is when Sif takes over as like the guardian of the Bifrost, and she has like the all-seeing eyes. But Heimdall, having seen everything and seen every like afterlife that he can imagine, he asks Jane to take him somewhere like to like live out the rest, like to live out his death in somewhere that he's never seen before.
Right.
So she like scours the multiverse, dimensions, afterlives, all of it and she finally finds him a place for like rest. And it's just like an endless like it's Kafud who did the art for this arc, and it's like phenomenal art. But it's kind of like this like colorful endless void where he can just kind of like be at peace.
Okay.
So that's the last time we saw him. So to see that he ended up here, I'm interested to see like if that's where he was initially dropped off yet and they just didn't know yet. And this is something Ewing has built and like kind of like baked in for a while.
Yeah.
Or if he ended up there and Nargle ended up like getting a hold of him somehow. I don't know.
Right.
I'm hoping that'll be explained, which I'm sure it will. But it's just so good, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
I'm loving it.
Right.
I'm loving it. Hopefully, I'm hoping it goes to 50 issues. Hoping.
I, you make it longer, dude.
Yeah, make it even longer. That'd be cool.
I would even, even if it is only 50, just please, for the love of everything, let Kokolo come back for the final arc.
Oh yeah,
Let it just be a banger of a freaking final arc, dude.
that would be amazing.
I
Yeah,
need to get my charger really fast.
for sure.
All right, we're good. I
Mhm.
just didn't want this thing to die. And then we're shit out of luck for a while.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
Yeah. What else? Oh, Ultimates.
Ultimates, man. This was fire, man. As always, this is always heat. This is always
Dude,
dope. Uh,
dude,
I know you're stoked for next issue because it's all gonna be like Asgard. It looks like, dude.
finally, dude. Finally.
It's gonna be cool.
Been waiting for that.
Yeah,
Um, so it kind of kicks off with a really, really great page.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We get to see,
Hitler getting burned alive.
yeah, by James Hammett. You know,
Hell yeah, dude.
it's it's pretty cool, and especially because like basically like Hammond's like, hey, I gotta delete like memory all the
But
time,
I keep this one.
but this one keeps me warm. Like I love this one.
Dude, I like how that's like his like that's like a spank bank memory for that dude, bro.
Yeah. He's like, dude, I get like pleasure from like watching that. Like you see him actually get like joy, like smile. So he's like, dude, like, you know,
It
and it's
keeps
a
me
pretty cool
warm.
segue where like Cap's like, okay, enough of reminiscings about old days killing Nazis. We got to do it
Let's
now.
do it now.
Yeah, like we got to do it right this second. And that was pretty cool, like now we got the Red Skulls. Like it's not
I
just
Yeah, and I like how a lot of this issue is framed with Jim's like his like narration or like him like cataloging his observations or like
yeah.
putting up like facts and history about the gang and all these other things and people.
Yeah, and we get
Like
like a whole page of just his thoughts and like his
yeah,
thoughts.
yeah.
That was really cool.
And it's like it's so on the nose to see that this like white supremacist, like racist Nazi gang
Yeah.
has like adopted Frank Castle's.
Dude, I know. And it's like like basically they wrongly took it because I guess they said like in the 70s in this, that's where Frank Castle was. He was in the
Yeah.
70s.
Well, they even show that early, like early in the Ultimate. I think it might be Ultimate Universe #1, like when
Right.
they show like the quick montage of all the heroes that were,
Hmm.
like yeah. So we've seen him at least in universe. I just didn't know when, but now we finally got like a timestamp.
Right. But now like the Nazi white supremacist group took that symbol and made it their own. And it's like,
Yeah, I really thought that was interesting. I was like,
yeah. And
okay,
it kind of like makes it feel better too, because like we first see like John Walker wearing it. Like, so it kind of feels like they're wearing like John Walker's version of the Punisher skull. Like it used to be Frank Castle's. Now it's like John
Yeah,
Walker's.
yeah, yeah, because that's true. We do see John Walker in this issue because he's all like juiced out.
Yeah. Which is really cool too, because basically you come to find out that Tony goes to other people and sometimes they choose to be villains.
Right, right. Because like they have all the information of every hero from the main universe. So US agent, technically, why not try it?
Yeah.
The more heroes you have on your side, the better, but you don't know who these people truly are in this universe. So
Right.
it's you're just taking a shot in the dark here. But it's interesting to see that Tony's back and like kind of up and running, but he's like trying to dictate things from surgery, and
Yeah.
Cap's just like basically like buzz off, like well, like this is just something I like we need to take care of. Like just like you do worry about you, we're gonna handle this while you're recovering.
Yeah.
Um, and then they kind of bust into the compound and plastered up on this like trophy wall. Is
Dude, Namor
crazy.
with like a bunch of fish. And it's
Yeah,
like, what?
yeah, that was crazy. I was like, oh shit.
Because they asked them too, like, is he dead? And they're like, they
Like
kind of like
we don't know.
right. So it makes me wonder if like you were to throw him in water, would he be able to?
Yeah, like is he somehow like be able to like it's like is he preserved while he's on Earth somehow?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like that's interesting.
But you already know Cap's already like, we got to get him down. We're getting him
Yeah,
down.
like that's my boy. Like even still, like because the invaders existed in this universe still.
Right.
So like that's still his guy. But then you get like the Red Skull, coming in, the Grand Skull, whatever they call him.
Yeah.
And then it's just like the fight ensues, and he kind of he's explaining what happened to Namor, and then they start the fight, and then John Walker comes in. Like this is like a relatively straightforward issue up until the end,
Right.
you know. And then he finally like gets the upper hand. He like refracts the laser back at the mask, and it cracks it, and he sees an eye, and he's like, "Oh, it's good to see you, Steve."
Yeah.
They give Namor his send off, and then you finally get Jim's thoughts on everything. I think this is really, it's like really like poetic in a way.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Like
but
I
almost,
should have seen it coming. I didn't, but I should
yeah,
have.
like, and it's almost like very haunting too, like to see him like the way that he records his thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just like so it's eerie to me.
It is. It is. There's something eerie about Human Torch here where I'm like, there's something wrong.
I have a theory. To see his thoughts cataloged in the way that they are right now, it's almost like he's tallying, like he's like weighing the pros and cons of humanity.
Yes.
You know where I'm going with this?
Yes.
You have Hank, who Jim has already deemed mentally unstable. We already have precedent for an Ultron in the universe with the bug tech. What if Hank gets the wild hair idea, tries to make an Ultron, or somehow Jim goes haywire and is this universe's Ultron at some point?
Right. Yeah. Or basically, what if Hank basically says, I can enhance you?
But what if, right? Yeah.
Like Hank's like, Tony and Hank are like, hey, we can enhance you. We can, and boom, we got Ultron.
Yeah.
That could be it. But
Because I would really be interested to see like if whatever takes place, like hypothetically, let's say this is the case and this is the track that he's going to go down. He becomes Ultron.
right.
It'll be interesting to see if we revisit this kind of catalog in the future.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. But then you get like this reveal with like kind of like Jim and Steve realizing at the exact same time. And like it's so funny. Like when I saw this reveal coming a mile away,
Yeah.
but it didn't make it any less cool,
Yeah.
you know? Because like when they're talking to the Red Skull initially, and he's saying, let's see, he even like calls him by name like pretty early on, when he's talking about doing his monologue, his villain monologue.
Right.
Um,
It's
and then it's revealed to be
yeah, because we see
Bucky
like
Barnes.
flashbacks of them all.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So then it's revealed to be Bucky Barnes is the Red Skull, or the
mhm.
current Red Skull, or also has always been the Red Skull
Right.
since the fall of the original, when they fought
Right.
him back in the day.
Which we should have also seen coming because Winter Soldier's Wolverine. So if
Right. And then here's the thing, it's a very Red Hood take.
it is, it's very Red Hood take. Like I've always seen like the
I
Winter
mean, there's always
Soldier
been a lot
versus
of
Red Hood, and
similarities
I'm like, oh, they
between.
just did it. They just went and did it. Like,
Yeah, exactly. They just made Winter Soldier Red Hood.
yeah,
Like, I mean, it's a cool concept.
it is.
It'll be interesting to see if he makes a face turn at some
Wouldn't
point.
surprise me. Would not surprise me. You know, I mean, we kind of just had that story with Lansing, and yeah, basically they did like a Cap story where basically like Bucky betrayed Steve and then went with like the main enemies and then basically toppled it from within. And
Yeah, he was like the head of Hydra or whatever.
yeah, so it was something like that. But so it wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise
I heard
me if
about
that
that.
happens.
Because that was kind of when they did the whole thing with uh his son, right?
Hmm.
Dimension and Modoc and all that shit.
Well, they basically, yeah, basically, his son's back basically from running Dimension Z and that because
Yeah,
basically
and
running
yeah,
Dimension Z, and
yeah, yeah,
so
I
he comes
remember that.
back.
I didn't really keep up with it. Like I wasn't reading it, but I was like kind of keeping up with it with like other
Mhm.
people kind of giving me information and keeping up with it online and stuff.
Yeah, it was a good run, but it was one of those things where they like made him cut it short so that they could have Straczynski do his run, which was
And they
then
cut
cut
that
short.
short.
Yeah, which they then cut that
Stupid,
short.
dude. Like,
But
here's the
then they
thing, is like,
basically told Lansing and, Kelly, like, hey, go over here and finish your story over here doing Thunderbolts. And then I was like, I'm not reading Thunderbolts. So,
yeah. Well, like, and here's the other thing too, is like now, like, what else are they doing? Like, they're doing X-Men stuff, or they're about to finish Nyx. Nyx is ending, but
hmm
then they're doing the giant size like
hmm
lineup with all of those one shots, which I don't care, dude.
Yeah, I don't care. They're
Like,
doing a lot of books that like I don't really care about.
the Power Man Timeless, like, I don't care about that. Like,
Um, that
sorry.
was a cool one shot, but I don't really care.
I would have much rather have seen them do a Heroes for Hire book
That'd be cool. Yeah.
because I liked the Timeless one shot enough, and I liked what they did for the Venom or Spider-Man miniseries too.
Right.
Um,
Also, this book needs to stop with the hate. This is a great book.
it's a good book, dude.
It's
I'm
a
not
great book.
hating it, bro.
I'm seeing a lot of people being like, I just don't care. I don't care about the characters. And I'm like, dude, it's Jeff Lemire doing JSA.
Well, here's the thing. Nobody even okay, listen, if you haven't cared about the JSA, you're not gonna care about the JSA now. That's all I'm saying. And
Right.
here's the thing. You're going from one top tier Jeff to another top tier Jeff. But here's the thing. It's two different kinds of Jeffs.
Yeah.
You know? It I just
I
to me,
prefer this to the last one.
I'm just saying, bro. Like
Like,
here's
yeah.
the thing is like Jeff Johns, you've written some goated runs, dude. I'm telling you, bro. Like you've got the sauce. You're
hmm
doing some good stuff at Ghost Machine. But you were phoning it in, my brother,
Yeah,
on
that was a
Justice Society there at the end. I will say that final issue is a very sweet send off to those characters for him
yeah.
because he's had them in a chokehold for years.
Right.
But hey, he's gone now. He's parted, he's left DC. He's doing his thing at Ghost Machine and Image.
Yeah.
So let this other Jeff, who's
Yeah.
just as good, if not even better in some ways, I think, in my opinion.
And it's Jeff Lemire, and he's a goat. Like
He is, bro.
he's a goat. Like he's been around for at least 20, 25 years now.
Yeah, but close to, man.
Yeah, he's
He's
been
been in the
around
game
for a
for a
minute,
minute, bro.
dude.
He's done a lot of work for DC in the past. He did Animal Man, he did the Swamp Thing miniseries, he did some Robin and Batman. He's doing this. He did shit, what else has he done? He's getting ready to do Absolute Flash.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah,
I
yes, yes.
can't wait.
It's like Flash became the Spider-Man. Like where it's like, hey, we're not getting good Flash over here. So over here though,
Yes,
it's
dude.
gonna be
Yes.
good.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Um, who do you think that monkey is?
I don't know.
Do you think it's Grodd?
It came through my head that it could be like Grodd basically like psychologically speaking.
Here's what I think. Because it kind of seems like Wally's dad is kind of an antagonistic figure based on solicitations. Is kind of what it appears, and he sends the rogues, or like the task force after Wally to. And I mean, I could be way off, but this is kind of what I've gathered based off solicitations and information that we've been given about the first couple of issues so far. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for maybe his dad to have also been experimenting on this monkey and it have the intellect of Grodd, you know what I
That'd be
mean?
dope.
And
That'd be dope.
instead of him being a villain, he works with Wally in the beginning, helping him control his powers and learning and all these things, and they're kind of like become partners.
That would make a lot of sense. I
He's on
actually
his
really,
own.
I
There's
would
no
really
Barry,
like that.
there's no Barry, there's no Jade, there's no Speed Force, there's no Max, there's nothing. It's just him on his own. He's young, he's exposed to these powers, and he leaves a wake of destruction every time he uses them.
Right.
So it's not, I don't think it's also not impossible for maybe their relationship to kind of kick off like Wally says, hey, I'll bust you out of here, but you need to like kind of inhibit me so I don't like overclock, and I don't start.
So it's basically like a like Grodd becomes like his soul, like soul like the cape, like the cape for,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you
and
know,
it's also mixing like with what Absolute Batman's doing, where like he's friends with the rogues, his rogues gallery.
Yeah,
So
like
it's kind of like,
there's some relationship there with the rogues, whether it's him directly or it's related to his family in some way,
yeah.
like I don't know. I'm really excited for it regardless. I think Nick Robus's art is also really, really good.
Hmm.
He kicked ass on Behold Behemoth, dude.
Yeah.
Just smoke. Just a
I just think it's going to be good for the whole lineup because,
oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
for the absolute lineup, we don't really have that like funny, goofy kind of teenager kind of, and I
Yeah.
feel like Wally's going to hit that in stride where,
Yeah, and I'm hoping like, and here's the thing is like Lemire's really good at balancing like some of the comedic stuff with the angst, especially in
Mhm.
teenage characters because he's like really good about writing like younger characters, I think.
Yeah,
So it'll be cool to see him balance kind of like the Wally that we know from the main universe, like this kind of more lighthearted, not I wouldn't say he's the funny guy all the time, but he does
right.
have a kind of like a bit of a goofy streak.
Yeah,
Um, but to see that balance with like his entire world crumbling around him, literally, because every step he takes, it's just destruction.
right,
It's kind of what it's implying. So to have this like, dynamic with he really is just like a kid and he just like he probably at first is trying to enjoy these powers, but then realizes like, look, I just destroyed a city block because I just blitzed it down the street.
right. I'm
But it'll
excited
be
for it, dude. I'm so
yeah,
stoked.
it'll be really cool.
And especially because it's Lemire, it's going to be tugging at your heartstrings. Lemire's books have made me cry, man. So I mean, I know this book is going to be
Yes, sir.
it's going to be a real
Good stuff, dude.
doozy at parts.
I mean, and then like the other two books are really strong too. Like you've still got like Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez coming in with Absolute Martian Manhunter, and
Yeah,
people are saying that shit's a banger, dude.
yeah. Mark Wade gave
They're
good
saying it's
praise,
yeah, they're
so
saying it's
I'm
crazy.
yeah. Even Gail Simone came out and said she thinks it's like the comic of the year. So
I'm excited for it, dude. And then you've got Absolute Green Lantern, which have
yeah.
you heard much about that?
I watched the interview of Al Ewing and he was talking about it, but he basically said that he basically said that he read Far Sector and was like, okay, this is the one I'm doing.
Yeah, like so, and it's funny because I've never read Far Sector, but everybody that I've talked to that's read it said it's it's a literally top tier Green Lantern
It's
book.
Jamal Campbell,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And he
You
created
know.
Joe Mullen, and so like, and Ewing, I think from the get even said he didn't want to stick with Hal or John.
Right. Even
He
though we know
wanted,
that they're in it.
yeah.
Did you see?
So
I will talk about that though. Yeah, we got
I was about to say like, if it's about Hal,
yeah. We'll
yes,
talk
yes,
about
yes,
that.
yes. So like, it's cool to see him use one of the like ancillary lanterns
Yeah.
as the lead, but we still get a really, really solid universe building with the others because he said that they're going to be in it.
Hmm.
So that segues into some of the news with that book that we've heard recently, especially like with the couple preview pages that we've seen. There's a variant cover that also kind of lends credence to this as well. There seems to be some talk that Hal Jordan could be this universe's Black Hand.
Yes.
I'm willing to bet that maybe that's not the case and he becomes Necron.
Oh.
I mean, I'm also not going to count out the fact that maybe he's Black Hand, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, Black Hand was the progenitor to Necron, so I mean, it would make sense either way. But
Maybe I would say maybe a more of like a possession kind of thing rather than like
so like Emerald
a
Dawn, but with
herald.
Necron, like
Yeah,
Emerald.
yes,
Yeah,
yes. Perfect. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like he becomes a host of Necron. That's exactly what I was thinking.
yeah, just like he did with Parallax.
You literally nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's because here's the thing. There's I have full confidence that Ewing can rehash that storyline and make it fucking sick, dude.
yeah, I agree. But it just makes me wonder if there's Necron, does that mean that there's Ion? Does that mean that there's Parallax? Does that mean that there's like, you know what I mean? It makes me wonder
Yeah.
if like like the construct gods are all part of it, more or less. So,
Yeah. I mean, if we don't know.
yeah,
See what happens because we don't even know the lore behind the great like the core
yeah.
in this universe. We don't know
All
what
I
the
know is I trust Al Ewing. I trust him.
I'm on the train until the wheels fall off, bro.
Dude, it's like every title of Absolute is just, I can't really say the same for Ultimates because I'm still on the fence about Ultimate Wolverine. I'm still on the fence with it.
I need a couple more issues, but yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
But it's
We got more announcements for that later in the year too coming. So I'd
mm,
imagine we'll see those around probably Comic-Con.
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I just want this first arc to be done because I just want to
Yes.
get some character development of Logan because I feel like we're getting none. It's just,
Yeah, I agree.
but yeah, you wanted to talk about a book.
So anybody that's been following me for quite some time knows I am a big fan of the Miranda brothers. I've got some original art by Inaki. I've got a lot of books signed by them. I got a book remarked. You know, I was on really so they little backstory. They did a book in 2018, 2019, maybe
Hmm.
called We Live.
Oh
Got
yeah.
got nominated for an Eisner.
Hmm.
Really unique because it wasn't just a comic, but every issue was accompanied with a QR code that was linked to a YouTube video that was a musical track to be listened to while you read the issue. That was done by I want to say it involved Roy Miranda, one of the brothers,
Okay.
as far as like making the music, because he's also a musician. Um, so that series was released by Aftershock, and it was went for 5 issues, and then it got a follow-up 5 issues volume called We Live Age of the Palladians. So that finished, and there was a lot of hype around the series because after the first volume was nominated for an Eisner, it was just like reprint hell for that book, bro. Like it was like there were so many variant covers that were like the second, third, fourth prints for the first, second, like all of the issues went through multiple printings after that point because Aftershock was like it took off.
Yeah.
So there was like metal covers and foil covers and a million variants, and I have like 60 to probably 80% of them. I
Jesus.
did at one point. You know, I had most of them. I
Jesus.
still have quite a few. I've got like I have the 1 in 15 that's really, really rare, and it's by Dustin Gwen. So banger of a
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite characters of all time.
Hmm.
So that book, there was a lot of talk in 2021, right before, oh no, right after Age of the Palladians had finished, about it getting optioned for like animated series or movie or something, whether it was Hulu or Netflix. And when I went to meet the Miranda brothers at Fan Expo San Francisco that year, their rep was basically like, keep an eye out for stuff, like for some news regarding some of that stuff. The news that came out was not what I was expecting because then we it's announced that Aftershock was filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
Oof.
So then it later come out after that that they weren't paying creators. They were involved like they were a multimedia company. They didn't just do comics, they did TV and movie and other stuff. So yeah, it was this whole thing, dude. So all of those books just went in the fucking can. We don't know if We Live will come back. They moved on. Inaki's been doing stuff with IDW. He's been doing the art for Godzilla Here There Be Dragons.
Okay.
I it covers and I think interior art. He's also been doing the last couple issues of Action.
Mm.
So that's been his art. I really like his art. So
Wait, that's him?
yeah, it's Inaki Miranda.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the one the major disaster stuff that's been going on
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's him. Yeah, he's been doing that.
Oh, cool.
He just put that double page spread from the last issue up for sale, bro. It's fire.
Dude, that's
The original
awesome.
art is sick. I'll
Yeah,
send it to
you wouldn't think because I think
you.
those like covers are like Gleb Melenkov and it's
Yeah.
those I feel like
And he's done work
those
for
do not
DC
do
in
the
the
interior
past.
art justice. Like
Yeah.
those
He did some Vertigo stuff in the past also, I think. But yeah, and then him and his brother did We Live, and yeah, the 10 issues went by. Well, there was a Free Comic Day issue also, so 11 issues, and then that was it. No, 12 because the second volume opened up with two like we call it black and white issues is what they said is what it was.
okay.
And it was kind of like two separate sides of the same story. Um, but then we didn't hear anything from them for a long time. But then last year they announced Blade Forger.
Oh, cool.
So this is from Mad Cave. He obviously did, so I'll open up this one in a second, but this is the variant for it.
Oh, damn.
So it's Kill New, however you say his name.
Mhm.
He did the covers for Blood Hunt.
Oh, okay.
So, but like with We Live. the first issue of that is cardstock, but it's also a gatefold cover. So it's like three, it opens up into three.
Oh,
And then
that's
so
that's dope.
the
That's
variant doesn't.
sick.
But yeah. Yeah, this does the same. This is the same as the other one,
That is sick.
as we live. But this is really cool because they also keep up with the QR codes with the music. And for this issue
Oh,
for this issue there's two tracks.
that's dope.
Yeah, it's really cool. So with this book, it's I think it's every 4 years. Let me see. I believe it's every 4 years. There's this tournament that takes place. It's called the Tournament of the Five Rings, and it whoever wins the tournament becomes the emperor of like rules the empire for that amount of time. And every 4 years, like if he wins the tournament in 4 years, he retains the throne. So like it's kind of like a multiple timeline thing. Like it kicks off with the main character. His name is Awada, and it's like the main guy on the cover here.
Okay.
And like the thing with the characters is like, have you seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Have you read the manga or seen the anime at all?
I haven't seen it, but I know about it all.
So
Yeah.
like in season three, like in the first few seasons, there's like the powers and the Hammond, and like they can like channel their like it's like their chi or whatever, and they like have like abilities. But in the third season, it transforms into different abilities called stands, and they kind of like can summon these beings that like have abilities and powers, and they fight each other. This is kind of how that is. So they kind of like they kind of like become these they call them battle Kaisers. So they're weapons which are made from like like a forge essentially. Like they each represent like the different forges, like the different like tribes or like kingdoms, like sub kingdoms within the empire kind of thing. And then
Right.
every year the five rings or the five forges meet and they have the tournament. And it's kind of his journey in the present day, him like getting ambushed by some mercenary Kaisers and him like kicking ass and the people of like the world loving him, and he's like making his way to the tournament to, take his shot at the throne. But then you get like a flashback of him when he's a child, and he's like a gifted like swordsman even at a young age. So his parents finally gift him his very own like a battle forger's sword, and that's what allows him to like summon his Kaiser and fight and become, they basically get a shot at becoming the emperor.
Hmm.
Um, and then you get a little bit of like flashing back to the present day where he's doing like the sub tournaments to kind of like qualify for the main tournament and all this stuff. And you see him like when he's 18, and he's then like they kind of like the build up to the next tournament begins. Like there's a timeline here.
Okay, yeah.
And then like he meets like there's his girl that he meets, or like his girlfriend at the time, and then it moves on to the next. Like this is the timeline right here. Like you see like all of these
Oh,
battles
that's
happening, and it kind of like it tells you like this is the end. Like this is when the tournament ends, and this is like determining like the final fight who's going to be the emperor. So
gotcha.
this is the current emperor down here, and then his battle Kaiser. Like, there's a lot of cool designs in this book.
Yeah, dude. I was about to
And
say.
then like this is the main one, like Taro the Invincible. I can't say that name. Something the Conqueror. Like there's
Yeah.
cool designs. Like they're really cool. And then so they jump straight into it because this is kind of a lot of setup. I think it's just 5 issues, but it's like they just jump straight into like the thick of the plot. So he wins the fight and he becomes the emperor. And it's like all
Oh,
of the people are so hyped because he's like the people's champion. And he finally wins, and he has this ideology of like, this clenched fist kind of thing. Like it's like represents power and strength and resolve and like kind of this like ideology that he can like overcome because he came from nothing. So then like it fast forwards to like then present day when he's been on the throne for years.
oh man. Yeah. And he's not basically what he initially wanted to be.
Yes, yes. So it fast forwards to this, and they're like taking down his monuments, like saying like you're a fascist, like and next like so like what happened is like had the only reason that these battle kaisers in this tournament exists at all is because they found this like material called the quorum, and it's kind of like an energy source that was like just found, and it's what like runs the forges and all of this like, and it's like been fueling the world for some time. And so now it's at the point where he's like kind of hoarded it all, you know.
Mm.
But his son is like dealing with the council, and the council's kind of fed up with him because he's kind of become a shut-in, and his son handles a lot of it. But he's like, and then like he's 81, like he's old, but he's plagued with visions of his
Oh,
death, and he's been on the throne for, oh no, he's 61, not 81, so he's been on the throne for almost for 40 years, almost.
right.
And he has visions of his death against a new battle forger, and he's like from the red or like the crimson forge. It's like some new, like kind of like an evil forge, and like the prophecy says that when he dies, an age of darkness will come.
Mm.
He's trying to stave off this darkness, but every time he has, like he just keeps going to this oracle and having this vision over and over and over and over, and the outcome is always the same. He always dies. Darkness always comes to the land. But then, like at the beginning of the book, he talks about having this like profound and mighty faith, and how like it will never be like his resolve cannot be shaken. So like he kind of like reaches out one last time, and the prophecy changes, and there's a new path. And the oracle's like, oh wow, this is like, in classic like like fantasy fashion,
Mm.
where it's like the prophecy exists, but there's an alternate path to save the world kind of thing.
Right.
Which when you see the baby's hand, and it's like kind of like the closing fist around the finger, more symbolism here. And then you go back to the past, but after, and he has a child. Um, and it's the last couple pages, and then he's like, and then it's talk about the closed fist, and he says, "My little Sakima," because that's kind of like the chant that they were doing before he won the championship. I'm not entirely sure what it means. I mean, maybe we'll find out later, but obviously it's now the name of his daughter.
Right.
But he says, "My little Sakima, I always thought that a clenched fist was a symbol of strength and power, but I was wrong." He says, "The first instinct of a closed fist is to seek for love and protection. Everybody needs to understand this, Sakima. My little Sakima, I will bring you a new world," which is kind of like, it starts out with this like innocence of like he wants to be a good emperor and he wants to do good by his daughter and wants to do good for the world, but then it turns into this obsession of like he has to stave off this darkness, but it also turns him into this like warped emperor of like it's like this warped version of what he should be.
Right.
He's like burdened with responsibility, and he's like let it go awry. He doesn't really handle business. He lets like the council do its own thing. He doesn't really deal with. He lets his son deal like with the political affairs. He's just like a hermit of an emperor. Nobody sees him. People are pissed. What used to be admiration is now pity and disgust.
Mm.
So the people hate him because they haven't seen him in years, and they don't think he's kind of like just a shut off king. He
Right.
is not there for his people. He's everything that he said he didn't want to be.
Right.
So it's interesting. I'm really interested.
That is pretty
I
cool.
guess it's cool.
That is pretty cool. It makes me wonder if like the kids are gonna have to,
Yeah,
the whole sins of the father type of thing,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, I'm hoping we see more of the kids because he's got his son who's handling business, later on in his life, but he also has his daughter back in the day. So there's a big time discrepancy too. Like the son only really appears to be maybe 20 to 30 years old, whereas in this he had Sakima when he was in his, 18 to 22.
Right.
So I
Where's
don't know,
she at?
like,
Where's she been
right,
doing?
where is she?
Yeah.
Is she like exiled? Did she leave? Did she like have a falling out with her family or her father? Because I don't see her mom around.
Right.
Did the mom die and she have a falling out with her dad and she left the empire? Who knows? But then, like at the end, like the end of it, you get a map of the whole world, like all
Oh
the
man, that's
kingdoms.
always cool. That's
So
always
like I haven't really had a chance to pour over it yet, but I'm interested to see like kind of like look at the names and kind of study it and then see how they like show up in the book.
yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, I liked it. It was really good.
That's dope. You
So if
said the
anybody,
what brothers? The
the Miranda brothers, so
Miranda.
Inaki and Roy Miranda. Yeah, if anybody's looking for a good indie book and it's a new number one, it came out last week, so give it a shot.
Yeah, Jeremy's your go-to guy for the indie books,
I
man.
got you.
Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty dope, man. I'm gonna have to check that out. Maybe hopefully that they put that in a nice that I imagine it's gonna be in a cool little hardcover. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The We Live is in hardcover also.
yeah, yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah,
But that's dope.
but I think that's about it for me tonight, man.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
yeah, that's pretty much it. It was a
I
short week
gotta.
this week. It was a pretty easy week.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I'm looking forward to comics tomorrow.
Yeah,
A
me
lot of
too.
cool stuff coming out tomorrow, dude.
Yeah.
Absolute Superman. Finally get to see like final fate of Krypton.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be
Cool.
cool to finally see it wrap up, Let me see, what else do I have coming out? I got
Um, Transformers is we're barreling towards the end of Daniel Warren Johnson's time on the book. The final arc
Mm,
is after this issue.
okay.
Moon is following us. It's still been really good. That's another book he's doing with Riley Rossmo.
Yeah.
Um, there's a reveal at the end of this issue, and it rules out Rick Jones as the potential Venom.
We know who it is.
So here's the thing. I want to talk about this really fast.
Yeah.
Spoilers because the issue comes out, but I've been seeing spoilers and leaks about it all like the last day or so.
Hmm.
Um, since the start of this run at the end of Venom War, we've been like, oh, who's the all new Venom? Who could it be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the lineup has been Luke Cage, Rick Jones, Madam Mask, and Robbie Robertson. Right as of right now, as of before issue 4 comes out, Luke Cage and Madam Mask are off the list because they've been proven to not be in the suit.
Hmm.
Because she was there with Venom, fighting Venom, just after he got a hole blasted in his head to prove that it wasn't Luke Cage. The other person on that list is Robbie Robertson. I don't think it's Robbie, but the reveal at the end of this issue is it's not Rick, but Rick is a different character that has shown up in the past. And I, for one, am very excited. Should I reveal it or no?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so if anybody you read Donny Cates Venom, right?
Yes.
Do you remember the cat Sleeper?
Yes.
Do you remember where he came from?
No.
So there was a book that was called Venom First Host, like a 5 issue miniseries that came out around that time, and it's like the origin of Venom before he became like Peter Parker's host, before he got found in Secret Wars,
Gotcha.
and he bonded to a Kree soldier, and eventually like it's revealed that he had an offspring and it was Sleeper, and yada yada, and that's how Sleeper came into play after Cates created him. We got his origin in that book. And then he was used early on, or like the last run that Ewing's the first run that Ewing did, like in like the streets level side of it with Alchemex and the Life Foundation and all that they were doing. And it was called at that point he was a sleeper agent. So his ability as a symbiote is he could like secrete these toxins or like these gases and kind of like make people hallucinate or do things or go berserk. And it was like he eventually learned how to mix them and create different effects in people. So but another benefit of his abilities is when he is bound to somebody as like when he has a host, they don't know that they're bound to him. So
Ah,
they become the sleeper agent. So up until Sleeper basically comes out, they don't realize that they're the host of the symbiote until they're overtaken by Sleeper. And then
God.
at the end of this issue, it's revealed that Rick is the sleeper agent,
Oh.
which I think is, Sleeper is okay. Honestly, like if you gave me just an entire symbiote, it just called Sleeper, I'd read the shit out of it, bro.
Yeah.
Sleeper's I don't care, dude. Sleeper is my favorite symbiote character.
That's crazy.
He's tight. I love Sleeper, dude. He's so cool.
Rick Jones. That's pretty
It's
cool.
dope, dude. I love that he's not Venom. I think it's cool that he gets to be Sleeper because he still lets him like play in the sandbox. Because that's kind of like he's always been his thing. He's always the sidekick. He's never like the he was a bomb. He was a Captain Marvel, but he wasn't like the Captain Marvel.
Right.
You know. So he was like to see him like kind of like get to play in a different corner of the Marvel universe, but not be like the main focus, but still kind of be like showing up a little bit. I like it. I think it's
Yeah.
cool.
That is pretty cool.
Now,
Yeah.
I think that you are right.
That is Paul.
I think so.
Yeah. I do think so
But
because
but I also think uh left field could be MJ
MJ?
because she kind of bonded with the symbiote in the Spider-Man miniseries. Like there was a piece of venom that kind of like got stuck with her and like gave her like kind of like amped up her jackpot powers to fight
Okay.
off the arachnid or whatever, like the big spider thing and like the symbiote spider thing that was invading New York at the time. Um, I think it's possible that maybe that piece of her is like kind of what was left of Venom post Venom War, and that's the piece that's bonded. And if it's MJ, I'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll let it slide. You know what I mean? Like whatever.
But regardless, it's one of the people taking care of Dylan right now.
Yes, and then like you kind of get that vibe when they meet up in the last issue in three again. And he's like, "Hey, like you shouldn't be out here. Like I'm your parent. I gotta take care of you, but I can't. We can't be together. I'm like, it's kind of like a toxic relationship. You know, you need to be like staying away. You need to stay safe."
Hmm.
Dylan's obviously not gonna do that.
Hmm.
But like based on the dialogue, at first I was like, maybe this Paul. But the more I think about it, maybe it could also be MJ.
Wow, that'd be a switcheroo.
If it's MJ and she breaks up with Paul, oh baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh. And then she becomes permanent host of Venom. And then guess what? Happy ending for Peter Parker and Venom. Peter gets MJ, Venom gets Peter. It's just a happy family.
Would never happen.
Dude, it'll be like Scott and Jean and Wolverine.
Yeah,
It'll be a Spider-Man throuple.
yeah.
Oh
I don't know.
man.
I don't see them putting Mary Jane anywhere near Peter again for a while. Doesn't he have like a new girlfriend? He has like a new girlfriend right
I
now.
don't know, dude. I
Yeah,
don't
he's
think
got like a
so.
new girlfriend right
The
now.
only the only Peter Parker I care about is Peter Parker 6160, dude.
Yeah, same, same.
Only
Can't
Peter
wait.
I care about. Yeah. On that note,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to bed.
All right, man. Have a good
All
night.
right, bro. Everybody have a good night. See you
All
later.
right. Later on, guys. Stay safe out there.